average requirement, as you know, RDA comprise the requirement of 97.5% of the people. As I said, this was the mean plus 2 standard deviation. EAR, it includes 50%, or you can remember, is actually comprising the median value, median requirement of the population. So sometimes, I don't know if you are progressing in third part 1, that time you may come across EAR as well as RDA. And values are little bit different in terms of what I believe, in terms of requirement in pregnancy period. If pregnancy during pregnancy and during lactation, protein requirement increases. So I was going through the literature. I saw in pregnancy and lactation, whatever average we need as per our body weight, and someone who is pregnant is actually has to add around 15 gram protein, and during lactation for 6 months, around 25 gram of protein to be added. I'm just giving one example as per the RDA. But in EAR, what I have observed, it's just reverse. They have calculated it differently. EAR value in pregnancy, it says 26 gram to be added. And during lactation, around 12 or 13 gram to be added. So, and weight accordingly, how much weight gained by the women, the requirements are different. So, I mean, you may get some confusion, maybe in future, but just for your knowledge, estimated average requirement may come and confuse you, but not to worry much. You'd be able to handle it. We will definitely support you. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about proximate principle of food. In this same competency, 5.1, describe the common sources of various nutrients and special nutritional requirement according to age, sex, activity, physiological condition. So what I'm going to deal today, proximate principle of food, functions and metabolism of protein. Today I'll try to cover protein part only. Carb and fat is not possible. Though as per the assignment, I had to complete fat and carbohydrate part. Evaluation of protein quality, RDA at various stages of life, and assessment of protein status in the body. So this is a very, very important topic you must remember. And please focus on this because we are not going to repeat it further. And most of your questions, if you take my opinion, are based from protein in nutrition. And people are very much concerned about. Okay. So many of you must be aware. These are the compound actually seen in all animal tissue and all plant. This is just compound. And the similar fashion, the proximate principle of food are protein, fats, carbohydrate, mineral, salts, and water. So that is the proximate principle. So sometimes your examiners are asking this question, what is proximate principle? And you people are getting so much of confusion. So that's why I have taken up this point, is actually compound which are naturally occurring in all animal tissue and plant tissues. And if you are talking about food, so in food, you know, the protein, fat, carbohydrate. So this is a very basic answer what we are expecting from you people. If we talk about the nutrient, so macronutrient are protein, fat, and carbohydrate, and micronutrient. This picture, if you are getting micronutrient, vitamin and mineral, vitamin and most of the vitamin and minerals are actually coming. Whatever we are getting, we are actually the richest sources are fruits and vegetables. So proportion to the total energy intake in the following proportion. Suppose being a medical student, you may consider yourself as a sedentary class of worker, but if you are active enough and doing some sort of physical exercise, I'm considering you people in a moderate kind of worker. So being a moderate kind of worker, actually your calorie requirement maybe, if you're among male, maybe around 2400 to 2800, around 2800 calorie you need every day. And accordingly, women, 1900, or we can say roughly 2000 to 2300 kilocalorie, what you need every day. So whatever calorie, actually the total energy requirement is based, how much should come from carbohydrate and how much should come from fat and how much should come from protein. Main, I mean, this is the, don't be confused. And this proportion is very helpful in designing and helping our patient for the preparation of balanced diet. That how much they should consume, how much, I mean, based on calorie. So the answer is, from carbohydrate, the range is big. 65 to 80% of the calories should come from carbohydrate. From fat, 10 to 30%. And from protein, 7 to 15%. So whatever calorie actually we are daily consuming, the for balanced diet, the calorie should come from this source, this nutrient in this proportion. So you have to remember this fact. That you can very well design balanced diet for your patient who is malnourished, balanced diet for your patient who is having some kind of chronic diseases. Very well you can design. And if the patient is elderly, if the patient is young, if the adolescent age group you are dealing with, if you are dealing with a pregnant lady or lactating mother, in fact, you can very well design. So please remember this fact. What is protein? Most of the thing you are well aware about. Complex organic nitrogenous compound composed of carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, sulfate, phosphorus, and iron. Protein constitutes 16% of the body weight of an adult. You must be aware that whatever muscles are there in our body, the important constituent of the muscle is in fact protein. So if the protein supplementation is poor, there is a muscle loss. So do remember, protein constitutes around 16% of our body weight, and nitrogen content in protein is 16%. So why I have used the word nitrogen over here? Because based on nitrogen, by calculating nitrogen, we are evaluating the value of protein. There is no other means of calculating protein, evaluating protein, but it is nitrogen. Made up of smaller units, everybody knows about. 22 amino acid, non-essential amino acid, everybody knows about. This all you must be knowing. 8 essential amino acid, which are to be taken from outside sources, that is prepared. Essential amino acid, this 8 or total 9 histidine has been recently added. So in most of the batches or most of the medical college, people use some mnemonics to remember. I won't say my mnemonics, but you must have some idea. Leucine, isoleucine, lysine, methionine, phenylalanine, threonine, valine, tryptophan, and histidine. Why this is known as essential amino acid, you are well aware about. Histidine is essential for growth of infant, and essential amino acids needed for babies is cysteine and tyrosine. Many a time during your MCQ test, such questions are asked. What is biologically complete protein? What do you mean by biologically complete protein and biologically incomplete protein? In short answer question, many a time department used to ask, what is biologically complete protein, and write down the example. So biologically complete protein is known as like, or it contains all the essential amino acid in amount corresponding to the human need. Good example is milk and egg. Heavy requirement of human being. Biologically incomplete, that is a second class protein, when one or more of essential amino acids are lacking. For example, many of you must be knowing about the fact that the cereal protein is poor in lysine and threonine, and sometimes people are using the word limiting amino acid. So limiting amino acid in cereal is a lysine and threonine, and in pulses, limiting amino acid word is methionine. If your examiners are asking this question, limiting amino acid in cereal, please write down the limiting amino acids in cereal, and pulses. So you have to mention. So biologically, either we may use the word biologically incomplete protein, or we can use limiting amino acid. Cereal plus pulses, 2:1 combination makes it complete. Animal protein are rated superior to vegetable protein. Why is it so? I'll explain further. Sources, you all must be aware about. What I believe, 95% to standard deviation. I mean, 95% people of your batch must be aware about the fact that egg, milk, meat, fish, poultry, that is chicken. Recently, I come across that somebody has asked me this question, sir, what is poultry? So poultry is chicken and cheese. Cheese is prepared from animal sources. You know that. Egg protein is considered best and standard reference protein. Animal proteins are of higher biological value. What is biological value? We'll discuss during evaluation of protein. So richest are sources of protein. I'm talking about the vegetable sources. Richest is pulses, oilseed, nuts. Soybean contains 40% of protein. 100 gram of protein, 100 gram of soya may have around 40 gram of protein. Nice. Moderate amount is there in cereal. And cereal protein is actually contributing maximum amount of protein, whatever is actually in need of Indian average. Most of the Indians are dependent on cereal. So maximum protein which are coming, whatever the requirement of protein may be, the maximum protein are actually coming from the cereal sources, which is not a good thing, but the maximum is coming from the cereal. I'll tell you what is the proportion. Poor sources are leafy vegetable, fruits, roots, and tuber. If you are being asked this question, like what are the rich sources of protein, never start with the leafy vegetable, fruits, roots, or tuber. Rather, we should avoid writing over here, because many a time you people are getting such confusion and answering badly in your exam. So rich sources are again defatted oilseed, that is the richest source. In India, cereal and pulses are the main source of dietary protein because they are cheap and easily available and consumed in bulk. Supplementary action of protein. This is another short answer question we people are asking. What is the supplementary action of protein? Though you know the plant protein may not be complete protein. It's biologically incomplete protein, but we can make it complete by doing certain things. So it is possible to obtain protein with a proper diet planning at low cost from mixed diet of cereal, pulses, and vegetable, which are known as supplementary action. And you'd be happy to know our forefathers, they were very, very clever. And from now, if you see the diet pattern of North Indians to South Indian to people, those who are residing in western part of country and those who are residing in eastern part of the country, everywhere this combination is available. In northern India, if you see the kulcha and chola is there, chole and bhature is there. Similarly, in South India, if you see this thing, idli, sambar, dosa, such things are there. In Western India, you must be aware about. In Eastern India, similar. So in this combination, probably they were very well aware about the supplementary action of protein, and they were very well utilizing this fact. So what are the functions of protein? This is a question, and everybody can answer this question. What is the role? Bodybuilding, repair and maintenance of body tissue. So why is this is important? Those who are actually working in the gym and trying to build good muscles, they are in need of more and good quality of protein. Repair and maintenance of body tissue. When the repair and maintenance when we need repair and maintenance, repair is needed if there is injury. Repair is needed if the person is elderly, because they are very much prone for some certain injury, and there are a lot of breakdowns seen in the muscles. So among elderly, many people are having belief that we should cut down the protein, but this is a wrong belief. The protein sources should be increased and good quality protein to be added. So repair and maintenance of body tissue. Then maintenance of osmotic pressure. You know the value of osmotic pressure, and synthesis of certain substances like hemoglobin and immunoglobulins. What is this? This is just protein. Energy supply, 4 kilocalorie. I think everybody must be aware about. I must say, during your Viva, I found some of the students who were actually answering, not been able to answer that how much the calorie value of the protein or how much the calorie value of the carbohydrate and fat. So you please do not commit such mistake. Protein quality, then evaluation of protein. Protein quality is being assessed by few things, like what is the amino acid content, about the digestibility, about the suitability to meet the protein need of the body. So this is separate issue, and the protein quality is being assessed by this. But the parameter actually which is used for evaluation, that is this one. Mainly we are dependent on this, and if many a time such questions are asked, what are the parameters identified? Name at least 2 parameters identified for protein evaluation. Name 4 parameters which are utilized and explain one of them. So this is sometimes short answer question, sometimes short note. And you please remember what we are doing, why we are doing this parameter for used for evaluation of protein, because we'd like to know. We'd like to know that which protein is better, and we'll try to actually evaluate the quality of protein and quantity of protein which is available in this food stuff. We definitely would like to have, because if it is not known to us, we cannot recommend somebody. So this is the most practical and most clinical you have to understand. So these are 4. like estimation of biological value, how biological values are calculated, digestibility coefficient, protein energy ratio, which is a less used protein efficiency ratio. But the last one I have highlighted, that the net protein utilization, NPU, is the most commonly used, most commonly asked, and you have to remember about NPU for whole of your life in your practice, because you cannot compromise of the knowledge of net protein utilization. But this is the way we are actually evaluating the quality of protein. So let's go ahead. How to estimate the biological value? Amount of nitrogen the diet ate and amount of nitrogen excreted. So in practical terms, what is happening? Percentage of nitrogen which is retained from nitrogen sources which are absorbed from the diet is calculated. Focus. Percentage of nitrogen, 16%, right? And I said earlier that the nitrogen has value which is very helpful in evaluation of the protein quality. So percentage of nitrogen which is retained from the percentage which are absorbed. So whatever we have actually, whatever our input may be, but whatever absorbed, among absorbed, how much is retained by our body? That nitrogen is calculated, and that is known as biological value. Animal proteins are having high biological value. Comes to plant protein, you know, this is soybean. Second is about digestibility coefficient. Here, sometimes digestibility coefficient itself comes as short answer question or sometimes short note. And many a time, Viva questions are based on these issues and focus one by one. And you have to remember this fact for all of your life. Protein of uncooked vegetable foods, which are pulses, are less digestible than of animal food. I think this is a fact. You have to remember animal food, animal products are animal protein are better considered because of complete protein. But the question is, why low digestibility is seen among the plant protein? You know, percentage gram protein, if you see, soybean is having 40 gram percent of protein. But the soybean protein is not completely utilized by our body. 40% is not seen even in animal protein. Animal content, you see, the 40% protein is not seen in any of the food item. You take any of this, any animal product. Okay, so low digestibility of the plant protein, actually it is given somewhere in your textbook, but many a time you people are missing this point. Low digestibility of the plant protein is due to presence of trypsin inhibitor. Trypsin inhibitor, which actually inhibits the absorption of protein. You know about trypsin, what is the role of trypsin? You have learned such thing in your biochemistry and in physiology. Soybean, there is a powerful trypsin inhibitor, and trypsin inhibitor can be destroyed by autoclaving, means जो pressure cooker में use करते हैं, and cooking or heating can improve this digestibility. One more mechanism is there to remove trypsin inhibitor, is not mentioned in your textbook. I don't know why they have not accommodated. That is sprouting. If the pulses are consumed in sprouted form, this because of this nature, the trypsin inhibitors are reduced. And trypsin, because the trypsin inhibitor is minimized, action of trypsin is minimized, the absorption of this fact. If you have to utilize, you cannot consume. If you are consuming direct, even almond if you are consuming direct without, I won't say sprouting, but at least उसको पानी में भिंगा करके use कर सकते हैं, then there is a digestibility, better digestibility of almond, which is actually rich source of not only protein, but it's a rich source of fat. Excessive heating and dry heating should be avoided to protect essential amino acid, basically lysine and methionine. Digestibility coefficient is actually nitrogen absorbed upon nitrogen intake. So if you remember the fact, biological value was nitrogen retained upon nitrogen absorbed. Here nitrogen absorbed upon nitrogen intake. So this will help you in calculation. Protein efficiency ratio, nutritive value of food product determined with a laboratory animal like rat as follows. The gain in weight of animal after consumption of unit protein is measured and value obtained is PER. Due to some drawback of PER, another method based on the growth called relative protein value is used. It's just for theoretical purpose. PER, we are not utilizing this concept much. But this one, most important, net protein utilization. So what is NPU? What is NPU? In terms of literature, we can say it is the proportion of ingested protein that is retained in the body under specified conditions for maintenance and or growth of the tissue. It can be determined by measuring protein intake and increment body nitrogen by analysis of body nitrogen content initially and after feeding the protein for 10 days. So NPU values are explored from almost all food items, which are, because of this process, we understood that which protein is good protein among the animal sources, among the plant sources, which protein, and the protein values are rated. So different foodstuffs are rated that this is having more amount of protein, more good quality protein, and this is having lesser amount. So NPU is the best indicator for protein evaluation. This question may be asked in your examination in MCQ, that which parameter is considered as a best parameter for protein evaluation. And NPU, very simple to remember, is equal to biological value into digestibility coefficient. So what is a biological value? You can remember correctly. If you have focused my point, I have repeated twice. Whatever nitrogen retained upon nitrogen absorbed. And what was the digestibility coefficient? Nitrogen absorbed in upside and nitrogen intake. So nitrogen absorbed and nitrogen absorbed is nullified. So actually, whatever nitrogen is retained upon whatever nitrogen was there in the intake into 100, this is the value we are calculating. How much NPU is considered to be optimal one? So NPU value is available for most of the food stuff, and you will see. But the question is, and the short answer question many a time, and sometimes MCQ, how much NPU is considered to be the optimal quality? How much NPU is considered to be optimal quality? We are consuming protein. We are getting, as I said earlier, most of the protein in average Indian people, whatever average Indian people are consuming, most of the protein are obtained from carbohydrate or cereal. Sorry, not carbohydrate, from cereal. A chemical nutrient, and from where we are getting, so most of the protein, required protein, is actually coming from the carbohydrate. But actually, it must not be happening. We should have more amount of protein. It should come from the pulses or animal protein, but which is not happening. And that's why the Indian diet pattern is different than the Western diet pattern. How much NPO is considered to be the optimal quality? Answer is 65. 65% is considered as optimal quality. Why optimal quality word have been used? Because if you consume the low NPO diet more and more, you cannot satisfy your protein. Remember a fact. If you consume, maybe if you are consuming more amount of cereal per day, and you are thinking that, yes, I have consumed 500 grams of cereal and I must be getting this amount of protein, no, you are wrong. Net protein utilization of cereal is actually less. So optimal quality, what is required for our diet is actually 65. So above 65 is considered good source. 65, average 65 is moderate, and lesser to that is low. So what is NPO of average Indian diet? From where it is supplemented? NPO of average Indian diet has been calculated. It is actually 61. Is a lesser than what is there in a optimal quality. I hope it's clear to you. I would have asked certain question and clarified more in your on-site classes. And what is the NPO of various food item? I'm going to display it. Anyone having any trouble, please, you can ask this question to me. So far, it should be clear in your mind. So no problem, at end, we'll discuss. So protein ratings of food, net protein utilization is this. Whey protein, isolate blends 110 to 159. Which is sometimes available on whey protein, sometimes and defatted soya, and sometimes they are using in bodybuilders. Whey concentrate, lactalbumin 104. Whole egg, if someone is consuming whole egg, okay, the net protein utilization of whole egg is 100. Remember, egg is a reference protein. Cow's milk 91. Egg white 88. If you are consuming just egg white, the net protein utilization value is 88, is not 100, remember. But many people are consuming, and sometimes it is advised to avoid yolk, because yolk is a rich source of cholesterol. Fish 83%, beef 80, chicken 79, casein milk protein is 77, soya 74, rice 59%. And optimal quality, as I said earlier in previous slide, it should be 65%. And wheat gives you 54 net protein utilization. NPU value of wheat is just 54 and beans are 50. So remember, to satisfy your protein requirement, if you consume more and more wheat or rice, even though you won't be able to supplement your protein requirement, this is the fact. I hope this is clear to you in your mind. So recommended dietary allowances for protein, how much is the allowances? Infants are in need of 2.2 gram per kg body weight, which is actually more than double of whatever adults are required. Because infants are there in the growing phase, they need more amount of protein. Infant, and by knowing this fact, you can very well calculate infant up to 1 year. Up to 1 year, how much is the weight? Age of 5, birth weight becomes double. Age of 1 year, it triples. So the average birth weight in India is 3 kg. So by end of around 9 to 10 kg end of 1 year. So if the infant is 10 kg, then how much he needs? 22 gram. Very simple. In a very simplified way, you can calculate. Child 1 to 3 years, 1.2 gram per kg body weight. 4 years age, body protein content reaches the adult value of 18 to 90% of the body weight. Adult require 1 gram per kg, but please remember this fact, because even recently we were taking Viva, and during that Viva, uh, someone was not able to answer how much is our requirement. Please remember 1 gram per kg body weight. If you are weighing 60 kg, then your requirement is 60 gram. And if you are weighing only 50 kg, your requirement is 50. I mean, it's not a rocket science, you can remember. If you are talking about EAR, I'm talking more of RDA because this value has been given. If the EAR I'm talking now is actually lesser than what is RDA. But I don't want to confuse you people. I said adult require 1 gram per kg body weight, assuming a NPO of 65. 65 is a optimal. Below 65, you cannot satisfy your protein requirement. So we have to consume good quality protein every time. Recent view says higher the quality of protein, lesser is the requirement. So if you see this table, recommended dietary allowances, RDA or protein. Man sedentary, moderate, heavy. Women sedentary, moderate, heavy. If body weight is this, requirement in last column, if it is 60, 50. Pregnant women, as I said earlier, in the morning to start with, pregnant women, remember 15 grams added, but EAR values are different. So in your PG entrance examination, I don't know, EAR value may be given more space, then you have to remember that fact. There are certain differences that you come to. Lactation, 25 plus 25, 6 to 12 month lactation, lesser amount is supplemented. That's why plus 18 to be added. Infant, 2.2 or 2.05 per kg, 1.6, and accordingly is given. Boys 13 to 15 year, you see 70 gram per day is required. This is the most active age, most growing age. 78 is there when you were trying for your entrance that time. You were more in need of protein because you are in a very changing phase of life. Assessment of protein status. Assessment of protein status is a last slide, and then we'll have question answer. How do we assess the protein status? Protein status we can assess by arm muscle circumference, mid upper arm circumference, that value to be taken, and there is certain value we'll actually discuss when we'll talk about malnutrition. Arm muscle circumferences, creatinine height index, serum albumin is the most important one, more than 3.5 gram per DL, and transferrin assess the liver ability to synthesize protein. Serum albumin 3.5. If it is 3.5, is actually mild malnutrition, indicator of mild malnutrition. Serum albumin less than 3 gram per DL is severe malnutrition. And total body nitrogen. But remember this fact: the serum albumin, the best measure or best indicator to assess the status of protein nutrition. So this is about the assessment of protein status in human body, and that was evaluation of protein. And please do not confuse. Sometimes you people are being confused and answering differently, and which is actually very harmful for you. So this is all about protein for today. We may discuss in further classes, and this is not over, but this is just beginning, I would say. This is the most important nutrient, and we have to discuss many a time to solidify your knowledge. So I would ask, you can raise some question, or you can write down. I'll try to answer. And if not possible, in subsequent session, I'll answer those questions and I'll note it down. So it is up to you. So we had discussed about various food stuff, about protein evaluation parameters, for protein evaluation parameters, different sources of food stuff with different sources and their NPU value. And if you are consuming 2500 kilocalorie, then from where the calorie comes from, 65 to 80% calorie should come from carbohydrate, 7 to 15% from protein, and 10 to 30% from fat. So if we have to prepare our diet, if you have to prepare ourselves, and if you have to reduce actually we are working on this scenario. So that time, the more amount of protein, sometimes if it is permitted, because if someone is consuming more amount of protein, there are some harmful effect too. So straight away we cannot recommend, but we have to see the physical condition, and accordingly more amount of protein percentage to be added from protein and lesser from fat and carbohydrate. So it has been recommended by many dietitians that the protein, if the protein provide compare and lesser from fat and carbohydrate, you can reduce your weight. So there are many logic and many discussions are there, but what I believe you'd be able to understand and answer most of the question. Anyone having any question? We have still 10 minutes. Otherwise, we have to shift in fat content or carbohydrate, and you may get some confusion. That's why I have stopped myself over here, so that we can focus more on protein part only. So if you have any question, then please raise. I'm here to answer. I always advise people to ask question, and none of the question is ridiculous. Many a time we were not questioning our teachers because we are thinking that somebody will laugh, and this may be considered as a poor question or ridiculous question. But please remember, none of the question is ridiculous in the world. So if you have any question, I know focusing on online lectures are very, very difficult. I have experienced. We have attended many conferences and workshops and realized the same, and feeling sad for you people that you are attending all the classes online, reduced or